In this demo, I'm going to show you how to have sort of a puzzle where you've got something out of reach and you need to get it somehow, and you're not allowed to take it if it is out of reach. Maybe it's like it's something on a shelf on top of a crown on a statue, and you have to hit it with a stick, take it with a stick, throw a rock at it, or something like that. So I'm just building on this last project I had. You know what? I had me as an NPC, and I'll just move me off screen because we don't need me in this adventure. But if we run this now, it says there's a crowded computer lab here, or it's a computer lab crowded with both old and modern computers. On the high shelf is an IBM manual. Maybe in my computer lab description, I should say, on one wall is a high shelf. There we go. Now that makes a lot more sense. And notice I have an object called high shelf. It's in the computer lab. It is scenery and it's a supporter, which means I can put things on it. And you can see that the IBM manual is on the high shelf. So if I run this now, now it tells us on one wall is a high shelf. On the high shelf is an IBM manual. Now there's nothing to stop me from just taking the manual, right? But let's say like it's supposed to be out of reach. Like, how do we do that? Well, this is the kind of thing that a check is used for. Before taking the manual, check to see if it's out of reach. How do we know if it's out of reach? Well, we're going to say if something's on the shelf, it's out of reach. So let's go to verb checks here, and I'm going to add a check called check, take, manual, maybe. Sure. Click add. And then in here, I've got a snippet for this sort of scenario here. Check for taking something out of reach. Let's see what this does for us. What object is the player trying to take? They're trying to take the IBM manual. Where is the out of reach item? Okay, a ledge, a shelf, or whatever. So it's going to be on the high shelf, and I'll click OK. So what this check says, if noun 1 is the IBM manual, like they're trying to take the IBM manual, and noun 1 is on the high shelf, and noun 2 is set to 255. And you're like, what is 255? 255 means nothing. It means like there's no, they didn't supply a second noun. So if they're trying, if they're trying to type take manual, take book or whatever, or take the IBM manual, we're going to say, okay, if the first noun was the manual and there was no second noun, then and the noun, the first noun is on the high shelf, then it's out of reach, right? Well, actually, we don't really need this, because this is only if they're taking the IBM manual. If we get rid of this bit, then it applies to anything on the high shelf. If the thing that they're trying to take is on the high shelf, that would actually work. All right, maybe I'll get rid of that. But if noun 1 is the manual and it's out of reach, and they didn't supply a second noun in the sentence, then print the whatever is out of reach. So let's, now we've got this check, we need to put it on the verb take. So we're going to say before taking something, we're going to add a check. Those should have been up there. Okay, we're going to add the check to the selected verb. So we're going to say on the verb check, every time we run check, we're going to say, hey, are they trying to take the manual? And if they are, then it's going to say, hang on, is noun 1 the manual, and is that thing on the high shelf, and is it set, and did they not supply a second noun? And what this second noun thing is, because like, what if they try to type take the manual with the stick? Well, that might work, right? So we have to make sure that we don't want to stop those cases from getting processed. So now let's well, actually, let me remove this check. And I think I already did this. Like I typed, take manual, and it said taken, right? I've got the IBM manual. Now let me put that check back on the verb, and I'm going to type take manual. But before I try to take the manual, it's going to say, hang on, did they supply a noun? Can I see the thing I'm trying to take? Do I not already have it? Is that thing portable? Do I have room for it in my inventory? And then finally, am I trying to take that manual? And it says the IBM manual is out of reach. All right. Well, I need an extra carriage to turn in my snippet there. We need this. PR tab. There we go. I'll fix that. I'm still working on the snippet, but by the time you get this, this will work. All right. So let's try that again. Test. Take book or take manual. The IBM manual is out of reach. Okay, great. You know what? Let's go fix some things here. This IBM manual should be uppercase because IBM is a proper noun, and book would probably be a good synonym for manual. So let's save this and test it. And there we go. There's an IBM manual. Take book, right? So book is now a synonym for the manual. Okay, now what if I wanted to actually take the book? Maybe I need to throw a rock at the book or take the book. Maybe it's a crown. I have to take it with a stick or something. Let's look at that. So I'm going to put a stick in the player's inventory, and let's make a function take book with stick. Well, now let's write an if statement here. So if tab, else tab, an if else statement. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say if the book's on the shelf, if the IBM manual is on the shelf, then we'll knock it off with the stick. IBM manual dot location dot L tab is equal to the high shelf. Then we're going to print print line, you knock the book off the shelf, and it falls to the floor. So now what I'm going to do is move the book, the IBM manual. I'm going to set its location to be the player's location. So that means it's in the same room as the player. If the book and the manual have the same location, then they are in the same location there. And if the book is not on the high shelf, then this action makes no sense at all. Like the book's on the floor and I'm trying to take it with a stick. Like that doesn't make any sense, right? So I'm going to print that won't work here. All right, in that case, just pick up the book. Like, why do you need the stick? All right, so then what we're going to do, and well, just to recap, we're saying if the IBM manual's location is the high shelf, print, you knock the book off the shelf and it falls to the floor. Then we're going to set the IBM manual's location to the player's location, move it into the player's room. If the IBM manual was not on the high shelf, we're not going to do this code. We're going to do the otherwise part, and we're going to print that won't work here. So now let's go to our sentences, and we'll say, like, take the IBM manual with the stick. And if we do that, we'll call our take book with stick function, and let's try that. Okay, I'm carrying a stick. Well, why is a teacher carrying a stick? What kind of school is this? Take book with stick. Oh, interesting. It printed out nothing. Why would that happen? That happens when you have a function that gets called that doesn't have an else clause in it. Let's go look at that sentence again. Take IBM manual with stick. It's called the take. Oh, I forgot to click add. There we go. Forgot to click add. All right. So now let's try that again. Take book with stick. You knock the book off the shelf and it falls to the floor. Now if I type, look, there's an IBM manual here. Did I make the book portable? Take the book. Okay. Now, if I try to take the book with the stick, the book is not on the high shelf anymore. It says you already have that. Oh, actually, okay, that works too. Drop the book. Drop the. drop the book. Okay, take book with stick. Now, under normal circumstances, I should be able to take the book, but taking it with the stick doesn't make any sense. So it prints out that won't work here. All right, now the other problem here is put book on shelf. I gotta take the book, put book on shelf. I'm gonna kind of ignore this problem right here, that I shouldn't be able to put the book back on the shelf because the shelf's out of reach, right? So I probably want another check function like that says like check put shelf, and it says like, hey, you can't put things on the shelf. It's out of reach. You know, I don't have a snippet for that, but just for the sake of like demonstration, check put shelf. Okay. So let's create a check function, and let's say if noun 2 is equal to the high shelf, print the shelf is too high up or something, and stop. If you forget these commands, right there, stop, the check fails. And now I'll put this on the verb to put. Oh, there's text. So I'm going to say if I'm putting something, I want to check to see if I'm putting stuff on the shelf. So I'll click add, check put shelf. So now when phone silent mode now. Okay. So this is going to say if noun 2 is the high shelf, then print the shelf is too high and stop. So let's see if this works now. I could also have made a function in a sentence to do this too. And I could have said like put any object. If I'm putting any object on the high shelf, print it's out of, you know, you can't do that. That would work too. But we could also do this as a check. So let's try it now. All right, so take the book with the stick. Okay. Take the book. Okay, put book on shelf. The shelf is too high. So we're saying before we try to run when we're running the verb put, check to see if the second noun is the high shelf, and if it is, print the shelf is too high, and stop. Right. So there's a way of, you know, that's what these checks are for. They are for ruling out whether or you know, for ruling out actions that should not be processed. So there you go. There's like the stick, using the stick to get something off of a high thing puzzle. This would also work for, you know, you need to get something out of a hole with a hook or something, or instead of taking something with the stick, you have to throw something. If I throw anything at the stick, and remember anything is the star. So if I throw anything at the stick, then I call my function. So that works too. So it's the exact same thing. It's just that, like, you know, your verbs change. So there you go. There's the high thing on a shelf that you have to take with a stick puzzle.